When my mom texted me about a quick family dinner, I already had that sinking feeling in my gut. You know that weird tension you can't quite name, but it just crawls under your skin? Yeah, that. Last time we did this, I walked out $900 lighter because nobody else lifted a finger when the bill showed up. My dad even cracked a joke, "Good thing Ethan doesn't have kids to feed." And everyone laughed like it was the best punchline ever. I didn't. I had told them before, "I'll help if you ever need me." But that was supposed to mean in emergencies, not every time they got hungry. Still, it had been a couple months since I'd seen them. Guilt is a funny thing, it whispers in your ear until you cave. So I said yes. The night came. I walked into the restaurant and spotted them immediately, long table by the window, wine glasses already clinking. My dad was holding court like some king at a feast. My aunt had her glass tipped back, my twin sister was mid-selfie with my mom grinning behind her. The whole scene was alive, except there was no seat left for me. I raised a hand in a little wave, expecting at least a spot to slide into. But my mom turned, smiled politely, and pointed behind her like she was showing me the bathroom. "You can sit there. We need space for the real group." I froze. She didn't even blink when she said it. Just turned back around like nothing happened. I glanced at the seat she'd picked for me, a lonely two-top shoved between the swinging kitchen door and the bathrooms, dim light flickering overhead. The kind of spot they usually reserve for cleaning supplies, not people. So, fine. They wanted me as background noise? I'd play the part. I sat, ordered an old-fashioned, and when the waiter leaned in again, I slid him my card with a calm smile. "Mine's just the drink. But everything from that table?" I pointed toward the royal banquet in the corner. "Put it on them." His eyes widened for half a second. I think he almost smirked. "Got it?" I asked. He nodded. Yeah, he got it. What followed was like sitting in the audience of a circus. Plates flying in, laughter echoing. My uncle tackled the biggest ribeye on the menu. My sister had 2 appetizers going at once. Dad ordered a $130 bottle of wine and poured it like he was filling up soda cups. My mom kept flagging the waiter like he was her personal butler. They were living it up, and none of them had the faintest clue. I sat back, sipping my drink, watching the show. Every clink of their glasses was music. Every order scribbled down was fuel to the fire I'd set. And then, the eruption. "Why is it over $1,700? My dad's voice shot across the room like a cannon. Heads turned. My aunt squinted. My sister froze mid-selfie. I stood, calm as ever, and strolled over like it was simply time to leave. I paid for everything. Even left a tip. My dad's face lit up like I'd just handed him the keys to a new house. My mom gave me this rare, glowing smile I hadn't seen in years. For 1 second, they looked at me like I was their hero. I waved casually and walked out. Simple. Clean. Except, not really. Because the waiter? He was still following the script I'd handed him. I told him to bring the bill back, to them, after I left. I wasn't even to my car before I heard shouting from the hallway. "Wait, what? He only paid for his drink. Ethan." I slid into my car, the night air washing over me like a reward. I drove off before anyone could catch me. Honestly, the air had never felt cleaner. The next morning, 9:12 sharp. 2 hard knocks at my door. I opened it, and there they were. Mom and Dad. No smiles, no pretense. My dad walked straight in like he owned the place, dropped a receipt on the counter, and barked. It came out to $2,100. No, "Good morning." No, "How are you?" Just the number, like he was presenting evidence. I glanced at it but didn't touch. "I paid for my drink," I said simply. That was the spark. He started pacing in circles, voice rising with every lap. "We raised you better. This is low. You embarrassed us? Your uncle had to cover the tip." He said it like I'd burned their house down. Mom only chimed in during the pauses. "Ethan, we just thought you'd help. Like you said, help." That word. Help. To them, help meant cover everything. Sit alone. Swallow your pride. Just so they could shine. I listened for over an hour without saying much. Finally, I cut in. "You're angry because I treated you exactly how you treated me." For one brief moment, he froze. Then he spun, stormed out, Mom trailing behind. I thought that was it. 10 minutes later, I heard it, a sharp crack from outside. I ran to the window and saw my dad jogging back to their car. Mom was already in the passenger seat. My driver's side window? Shattered. Glass all over the seat. A rock sitting dead center like a calling card. They didn't wait. They just drove off. I didn't yell. Didn't chase them. Instead, I went back inside, pulled up my laptop, and opened the security footage from the cameras I'd installed after a package went missing last year. And there it was, clear as daylight. My dad, checking his surroundings, picking up a rock, and throwing it through my car window. I saved the file. Called the police. Filed a report. The officer asked if I wanted to press charges or just seek compensation. I said, every dime back. That window wasn't just broken glass, it was a message. And so was my response. By the end of the week, he was out $420. No insurance, no excuses. He paid. But I wasn't done. I opened my banking app and stared at the account labeled Family Expenses. For 9 months, I'd been dumping $2,000 into it every month. At first, it was supposed to cover emergencies, repairs, bills, groceries. I agreed, thinking we were in it together. But I started noticing cracks. Shopping sprees that didn't add up. My sister posting lattes from trendy cafes. Uber rides to beach parties. And all the while, I was told every dollar I sent was keeping the family afloat. That was the last straw. I shut it all down, locked the account, reset passwords, removed every transfer link. Balance, 0. 3 days later, my phone blew up. 15 missed calls from mom. 6 from dad. Even my aunt texted, there must be some mistake. My sister sent just 4 words, what the hell, Ethan? I didn't answer a single one. About a week later, just when I thought the storm had passed, there they were again, this time on my doorstep with smiles painted on like stage makeup. My dad actually hugged me, the kind of stiff, awkward hug you give a distant coworker, not your son. My mom carried a pastel bakery box, her peace offering wrapped in tissue paper and sugar. They settled onto my couch like nothing had ever happened. My dad leaned forward, voice softer than usual. Forgiveness, unity, starting over, that's what matters. My mom nodded along, sprinkling in phrases like, we've all had a rough patch, let's just move forward as a family. My sister wasn't there, but her name drifted into the conversation more than once, like a ghost in the room. And then my dad suggested it, maybe we could all go out again. Just have a good evening. I smiled, nodded, and answered with the kind of calm they wanted to hear. That sounds great. They left that afternoon convinced they'd won me over. To them, a couple pastries, a hug, and a few polite words were enough to wipe the slate clean. Just like that, family again. That's what they wanted. That's what they believed. And I let them. When they proposed dinner, I didn't just agree, I orchestrated it. I chose the place myself. Somewhere expensive, with chandeliers that dipped so low they practically whispered in your ear. I even called ahead, arranged for a private table. If this was going to be a performance, I was directing it. Saturday night came. I arrived 10 minutes early, pressed shirt, watch gleaming, smile rehearsed. I looked like a man without a single worry in the world. They showed up dressed sharper than usual, my mom's face glowing with approval, my dad chuckling at the sight of the restaurant. He nudged me with his elbow. Let's not do it like last time, huh? I laughed lightly. No way. We sat. Wine was poured. Plates came out. They looked lighter, unburdened, like something heavy had finally been dropped. My mom even whispered that this felt like a turning point. My aunt nodded through the entire evening as if she'd just come back from a meditation retreat. My sister, of course, stayed glued to her phone, occasionally lifting her eyes just to roll them at the waiter. Appetizers rolled in like gifts for royalty. Towering seafood platters. Perfectly seared steaks. 2 bottles of wine that flowed like celebration. My dad made not 1 but 2 toasts, vague and smug, praising family resilience. My mom gave me looks like she wanted to say she was proud, but the words never quite formed. I sat through all of it like a professional actor, every smile, every nod timed perfectly. Toward the end, I glanced at my phone, excused myself casually. My girlfriend's calling. I'll be right back. I walked past the restrooms, down the hallway, nodded at the waiter who already had the check, and slipped out the side door. The cool night air hit me as I slid into my car, turned the key, and drove off. I didn't need to see what happened next, I could already script it. The waiter would set down the check, $1,417 before tip. My dad would crack a joke, maybe something like, guess Ethan's got us again. Then his smile would collapse. My mom would lean in, confused, asking if there'd been some mistake. My sister would accuse the waiter of playing some prank. And then, reality would sink in. Meanwhile, I was already home, slipping off my shoes. By the time I checked my phone, it was lit up like a Christmas tree. 40 missed calls. 4 voicemails. The first one calm, the second louder, the last 2 devolving into raw noise, shouting, breathing, chaos in the background. My sister unleashed a wall of texts that swung like a pendulum, threats, begging, insults, then back to begging. And then, the knock. This time, they didn't wait a day. Just an hour later, there they were again. No smiles, no pastries. No fake warmth. You've humiliated us, my dad snapped, his voice clipped with fury. You've crossed the line, my mom added, trembling. My sister, though, she took center stage. Called me pathetic. Accused me of holding a grudge. Claimed I didn't know the meaning of family. I sat in silence for a while, letting them think they still had control. Then I turned, locked eyes with my sister, and asked one question. Who do you think has been paying for your tuition? She froze. Dead still. My dad blinked. My mom's brows knit together in confusion. 30 grand a year, I said evenly. 4 semesters. Covered quietly. You're welcome. The silence that followed was deafening. My dad opened his mouth, but this time I didn't let him. You want to talk about crossing lines? That ends today. The account's closed. You want her to finish school? You figure it out. My sister's face twisted like she wanted to scream, but she didn't even know where to aim it. My mom finally whispered, barely audible, you manipulated us. I leaned back, let the moment stretch, and said, no. I just learned from the best. They stayed another 20 minutes, trying to spin it, twist the blame, paint me as the villain. At one point my aunt even called, probably drafted to calm the flames, but I let it ring. Before they left, my dad threw down his final words, this isn't over. I just nodded. I know. And that night, I didn't feel angry. I didn't feel guilty. For the first time in years, I felt clear. After that last dinner, the calls didn't stop. My phone turned into a siren. 40 missed calls in a single night ballooned into 70 by the weekend. Every time it buzzed, I just flipped it face down on the counter. I wasn't picking up. Then Monday morning, the tone shifted. My mom sent a short text, let's move on from all this. We love you. My dad followed right after, we're still a family. We need to act like it. Need to. It would have almost sounded sweet, if it hadn't come from the same people who thought nothing of treating me like their ATM. By Tuesday, the mask was off. The messages turned sharp. You're hurting everyone. You're being selfish. And my personal favorite came from my aunt, Ethan, don't let money define you. As if they hadn't been doing exactly that for years. Then my sister called. No apology. No small talk. Not even a hello. Just one question, flat as stone, did you fix the tuition thing yet? I said, no. She hung up. An hour later, I opened my inbox to find a long email from my mom. It was supposed to be heartfelt, pleading paragraphs about love, family, forgiveness. For a moment, I almost believed she meant it. But halfway through, one sentence hit me like a slap across the face. We've sacrificed so much for you. You owe it to us not to walk away now. Sacrificed. That word burned in my head for days. I thought about the $2,000 a month I'd been funneling into that shared account. The bills, the groceries, the emergencies. I had kept quiet, kept paying, but I also kept receipts. Screenshots. Proof. And I knew where the money was actually going. It wasn't just food and electricity. It was spa days. Salon appointments. Car detailing. My sister even pulled out $400 in 1 week for something she called a campus emergency. Later, I found out it was a concert. So I waited. I waited until Friday night. Then I pulled the trigger. One group message. Mom, Dad, my aunt, uncle, and my sister. Attached? 3 photos. The first, a screenshot of the shared account history. The second, a record of every contribution I had made. The third, a picture of a handwritten note from my dad last year. We're proud of you. You take care of us better than we deserve. No caption. No explanation. Just the truth. They didn't reply right away. But I knew they saw it. Saturday morning, the knock came, but not from them. It was my cousin Ashley. She stood on my porch with 2 coffees in hand, looking like she'd just run from a fire. They've been telling everyone you're having a breakdown, she said. That you're paranoid. That you're trying to punish the family. She took a sip of her coffee, sighed. Your mom's telling people you're unstable. But I've seen the account history. I know what they've been doing. We talked for about an hour. Ashley was blunt, not the type to soften words. Before she left, she said something that stuck in my chest like a knife. They don't even see you as a person anymore. Just a function. You stopped paying, and now they don't know how to act. That was the part that caught me off guard. Not just that they used me, but that they never even considered it wrong. In their minds, it was normal. Expected. Entitlement dressed as family duty. That evening, my mom sent another message. We want to fix this. Let's all meet. One dinner, no drama. Your father says he's willing to let everything go if you just come. Let everything go. As if he was the one offering me mercy. I told her I'd think about it. But I already knew, I wasn't going. That night, I pulled out the cardboard boxes. My apartment wasn't big, but it held pieces of a life I no longer wanted. Photos I didn't look at anymore. Clothes I didn't wear. Souvenirs from a family that had turned loyalty into leverage. I didn't announce anything. Didn't say goodbye. They didn't earn that. 3 days later, I signed a lease in a different state. Smaller city. Quieter streets. No one there who knew my name. It felt clean, like flipping a page without rereading the last paragraph. But before I left, I made one final move. I logged into my sister's tuition payment system. Canceled every pending payment. Removed my name from the account completely. I wasn't going to be her invisible safety net anymore. The very next day, my cousin Ashley sent me a screenshot from the family group chat. It was my sister, panicking, why is my tuition unpaid? Admin says I'm going to be dropped if it's not fixed this week. My mom's reply, Ethan must have done something. My dad's follow-up, he's doing this for revenge. Let him enjoy his little win. We'll figure it out. But here's what they didn't know. They couldn't figure it out. Because I'd already closed the backup. That emergency fund my dad begged me to help fill last year? The one for a temporary loan? That $12,000 was now back in my private account, legally mine. And I knew something else too. That shiny SUV they bragged about last spring? Partly financed through the very account I'd been draining myself into for months. Without my money, the math didn't work anymore. $30,000 a year in tuition. $900 a month in car insurance and gas. House repairs. Shopping trips. Their new lifestyle. It all balanced on me. Until I decided it didn't. When I finally left town, I didn't take much. Just what I truly needed. The rest? Donated, sold, or tossed in the dumpster. My new place is smaller, cleaner, uncluttered, and most importantly, mine. I changed my number, but I kept the old phone powered on for one reason only, to watch the missed calls pile up like trophies. They tried everything, new numbers, endless emails, even a handwritten letter begging me to reconsider, for the sake of the family. And then came the twist. A message from my aunt, they're thinking of taking legal action if you don't resume support. Legal action. I laughed out loud, standing barefoot in my new kitchen, coffee mug in hand. There was no contract. No agreement. Nothing binding me to them, just pure entitlement, now dressed up as desperation. And then, silence. That was a week ago. Now I sit here watching the sunset over a skyline they'll never find me in, and I think about how far I let things go before I finally chose peace. They shaped me into their provider. Now they get to find out what life feels like without one. It's been 3 months. 3 months without forced dinners, without fake apologies, without guilt wrapped up and sold as love. I wake up now without checking my phone in dread, without bracing myself for manipulation waiting in my inbox. The silence? It's beautiful. The freedom? Even better. I settled into this new life faster than I ever thought I would. New apartment, new routines. A little coffee shop down the street already knows my order by heart. I even started dating again. Nothing too serious yet, but it's honest. Different. And for the first time, I don't feel embarrassed talking about the mess I left behind. I thought cutting ties would feel like dragging chains. But it didn't. It felt like pulling out a splinter that had been festering under my skin for years. The last message I got from them was 2 weeks ago. My sister texted, "You've ruined everything. Hope it was worth it." I didn't answer. My mom followed with a photo of their house, captioned, "Still your home if you want it." It's not. Not anymore. Word spread through the extended family. Some relatives surprised me, reaching out to say they were proud. One uncle even admitted, "You did what I never had the guts to do." I didn't expect that, but it hit me. This wasn't just about my parents. This was about a system, one where taking was tradition, and giving was demanded, not appreciated. As for my parents, they've gone quiet again. Probably sitting back, convinced time will smooth the cracks. That nostalgia will pull me back. That I'll forget the rock through my car window, the manipulation, the way they laughed while shoving me to the side table. But I won't. Here's the truth, I don't hate them. I just don't trust them. And that's the difference. I've started building a life that doesn't need their approval, doesn't bend under their expectations, doesn't collapse under their traditions. I stopped checking their socials. I stopped wondering if they were okay. And I stopped pretending they'll ever give me the apology I deserve. But I still keep notes. Because if there's one thing I know, it's that this story isn't over. They'll try something again. Maybe not tomorrow. Maybe not even next year. But I know them too well to believe they've truly stopped scheming. And when that day comes, I'll be ready. Because if there's one thing they should have learned by now, it's that I don't start fights. I just end them. I didn't think there'd be another update. Honestly, I thought the book had closed. 2 months had passed since I walked away, and life had finally quieted down. I had built something simple. Peaceful mornings. A quiet apartment that actually felt like mine. No guilt waiting for me in my inbox. No missed calls piling up like accusations. I had stopped bracing for the other shoe to drop. For once, I thought the story had ended. But then, my phone rang. It was my uncle. The one who always stayed just neutral enough to be trusted. The one who didn't join the mob when everyone else either twisted the knife or stood by pretending not to notice. We hadn't spoken since I left. For a moment, I thought maybe it was just a casual check-in. But after a few minutes of small talk, his voice shifted. "I think you should know what's been happening back home," he said. I didn't answer. I just listened. And for the first time in a long time, what I heard didn't make me angry. After I cut them off, the safety net vanished. All that quiet coverage I'd been providing in the background, gone. And for the first time in years, they had to face reality without me. My dad, the same man who once sneered, "Manual labor is for guys who didn't try hard enough," took a second job at a local auto repair shop. Weekends, full shifts. No bragging. No drama. Just work. My mom? She shut down the brunches, canceled the salon appointments, stopped pretending the money was endless. She clipped coupons, cooked meals at home, sold the SUV I had helped them finance last year. It wasn't just their lifestyle that took a hit, it was their egos. But the part that floored me came next. My sisters. The same sisters who mocked me for being too uptight about money, now working night shifts at a McDonald's near campus. Splitting rent with roommates. Packing their own lunches. And for the first time, not asking my parents for a dime. My uncle told me they even admitted feeling guilty about how everything played out. That they didn't want to make things harder on mom and dad. That they were humbled. That part, that stopped me cold. But my uncle wasn't finished. He said my parents, unprompted, told him something he thought I needed to hear. "We know we ruined something with Ethan. We know it's not fixable right away. But if he ever decides to come home, we're not going to pretend anymore. We'll ask for his forgiveness. And this time, we'll mean it." I sat there in silence, staring at the wall. It wasn't the words that got to me, it was the idea that maybe, just maybe, they had stopped talking and started learning. That night, I went out for a walk. Along the water, jacket zipped tight, hands shoved into my pockets. I replayed everything, from that first dinner where they shoved me to the side table, to the rock through my window, to cutting them off completely. I didn't replay it in anger. Not in regret. Just, in reflection. Trying to measure the distance between where we started and where they are now. Because here's the truth, I don't trust words anymore. I trust patterns. And for once, the pattern looks different. I'm not packing to move back. I'm not rushing into warm hugs and holiday dinners like none of this happened. But maybe I'll visit. Not to forgive them yet, but to see who they're becoming without me holding the pieces together. If they really mean what they said, if they really intend to ask for forgiveness, then I'll be ready to listen. And if not, I'll be ready to leave again. Either way, I'll write again after that visit. Because if this entire story has taught me anything, it's that endings aren't permanent. They can change.